Thankfully, since history is all on computers now, it's pretty easy to rewrite when we discover something which challenges our previously held historical beliefs. But when an archaeological dig uncovers an object which challenges our ideas of culture, religion, and humanity itself, these are a little harder to edit. The entries in this video will change the way you think about Jesus, America, and humanity itself. So let's find out why, in our list of 8 shocking discoveries that made us rethink history. At number 8, the mystery of Jesus' beard. When you think of Jesus Christ, you probably imagine him as a long-haired, bearded gentleman in sandals, white robe, and some sort of fruity red sash, as if he's the prom queen or something. Now, obviously, we all know that if Jesus had come from the Middle East, as he's supposed to have done, his skin color should be a little darker than the Casper-esque honky white tone he's given in church murals. But we might have also gotten his haircut all wrong. Because in 2014, a group of Spanish archaeologists discovered a glass plate depicting Jesus with short hair, and not a single trace of that long, luscious beard. This 4th century piece is thought to be one of the earliest depictions of our man JC. And as well as bringing into question how Jesus might have looked, this discovery also made us wonder if Christianity reached Spain a whole century earlier than we previously thought, but more so the beard thing. 7. America's first. It has long been established that Christopher Columbus was not the first to arrive on the American continent. He just shouted first, the loudest, got the most likes is all. Today, we believe it's more likely that Vikings were the first, having pitched up in eastern Canada around 1,000 years ago. But a recent discovery could change that. After a shipwreck found off Nova Scotia's Oak Island in 2015, was found to contain a whistle, a sword, a shield, coins, and a sculpture belonging to explorers from the Roman Empire. Ancient burial mounds were also found in shallow waters near here, and these graves, which are more consistent with European burial customs rather than Native American ones, have been dated somewhere between 1500 BC to 180 AD. This would mean Chris Columbus could have been beaten by as much as 1,500 years, if we can prove the veracity of this site, of course. Experts are divided at the moment, as some believe these ancient artifacts were merely dropped by careless explorers mere centuries ago. So what do you think? Were the Romans first? Or have we all been duped by a Butterfingers? 6. The Cradle of Civilization. Around 6,500 years ago, the ancient city-states of Mesopotamia rose in modern-day Iraq and Iran to form the world's first civilized societies. And we refer to this region now as the Cradle of Civilization. But did this cradle have a rival? Maybe some sort of evil cradle containing a psycho baby hell-bent on destroying the world? Could be, as in 2015, archaeologists working in the burnt city of southeastern Iran discovered leather drawings and pottery depicting a separate, previously unknown civilization which existed to the east of the Mesopotamian states. These findings could mean that while the Cradle of Civilization was important, it was not unique, and merely one of several areas of the world where our style of modern urban living first began. 5. Dead or alive. Over the past few years, the mummified remains of around 40 Buddhist monks have been found in China, India, and Mongolia, including this 200-year-old fella found in January 2015, and this cheeky little guy whose remains were also discovered last year inside a Buddhist statue, and who is believed to be over 1,000 years old. These mummies are always found sat in the lotus position, and there are 2 creepy things you need to know about them. First of all, they may have been mummified alive. via practice known as suku shinbutsu, where Buddhist monks reach a higher state of enlightenment by refusing to eat, drink, or move until they are gradually self-mummified. But don't feel too bad for them yet, because the second creepy thing is that some Buddhists believe that these monks, whether 100 or 1,000 years old, are actually not dead. If you poke them or tickle their bellies, they might not seem very alive, but that's because they're apparently in a deep meditative state. This is according to Dr. Barry Curzon, who's the Dalai Lama's personal physician. And there are some who believe that the monk found inside the Buddha statue is actually Buddha himself. So, could either of these be true? Is there a state of enlightenment which all humans can achieve by sitting still and doing nothing all day? If so, I am way ahead of you, Mr. Lama. In at number 4, 55,000 years out. This next entry demonstrates just how much our current scientific theories can be blasted out of the water by a single discovery. It was once believed that after our super fun monkey time came to an end, modern humans evolved 200,000 years ago, and then migrated out of Africa 70,000 years ago. However, in 2011, when complex stone tools were discovered in Arabia, archaeologists dated these back to 125,000 years ago, which means humans had been exploring the globe for 55,000 more years than we previously thought. To put this into perspective, we've known of the existence of Edward Snowden, Miley Cyrus's tongue, and Kristen Stewart's dirty cheater side longer than we've known when humans first went a-wandering. Number 3. The Greek Wanderers. Marco Polo is thought to be one of the first Europeans to have met and interacted with the Chinese people during the 13th century. But just like Chris Columbus, he might have been beaten by some distance by yet another civilization from classical antiquity, the ancient Greeks. If you know your history of pottery, or you sunk a few days into Sid Meier's civilization, you'll have heard of the terracotta army, which comprises of 8,000 clay figures that were made to depict the armies of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang. The figures date from the late 3rd century BC, but rather than being built solely by the native Chinese, there is evidence to suggest that a group of ancient Greek artisans may have helped or influenced their construction. European DNA has been found at the sites around the terracotta army from the time they were built, and several aspects of the figurines' design also seem massively influenced by Greek art and culture. This discovery was reported in fall 2016 in The Independent, The Guardian, and National Geographic, and if true, it means Marco Polo was beaten by a whole millennia. Oh, and these movements of people weren't solely one way, you know. At 2, the Chinese Wanderers. As an addendum to the discovery of ancient Greek influence in China, we've also recently found evidence that ancient Chinese explorers made it further than we thought too. In 2016, a group of Chinese skeletons were discovered in a cemetery which belonged to folks who had snuffed it sometime between the 2nd and 4th centuries. But the remarkable thing about these skeletons is that they were found in a Roman cemetery in freaking London, England. The Chinese and Roman empires did indeed know about each other's existence, but it was thought that they rarely interacted, seeing each other as hostile people to be kept at arm's length. So what these Chinese people were doing in what was then a far-flung Roman colony is anyone's guess. But it seems these ancient folks did a whole lot more traveling than we ever gave them credit for. And at number 1, the history of a planet. A discovery that rewrites Earth history is pretty snazzy itself. But how about one which changes our theory on the history of Mars? This is exactly what happened in June 2016 when the Curiosity rover found a mineral called tridetomite inside a Martian crater. Scientists think tridetomite can only be created using extremely hot temperatures. So its discovery on Mars means that the red planet could have been far hotter in the past than we previously believed. and also home to a series of gigantic planet-boning volcanoes, too. Also, when tridymite forms here on Earth, it does so as a result of plate tectonics and the presence of water. So this could be further proof that Mars was once deliciously moist as well as rather scorchy. And according to NASA's Richard Morris, this could just be the beginning of a series of discoveries about how Mars works. As he was quoted as saying, "Mars is a different place. Processes are different there. There may be something going on that we just don't recognize yet." So that's our list. Aren't you glad we didn't mention Stonehenge? That thing comes up on these kind of lists all the time. It's just a bunch of ancient Legos built by folks who didn't use toilet paper. Get over it! But if you'd like to see more intriguing historical tales, why not check out our recent video on the 7 most mysterious coincidences from history that shouldn't have happened, but did.